Hello people of YouTube, welcome back to the channel. My name is Josh, your movie apprentice, and for today's review, I'll be looking at the latest film released by Netflix called The Five Bloods, directed by Spike Lee and starring Delroy Lindo, Clark Peters, Jonathan Majors and Jean Reno. This film follows a group of black Vietnam veterans who return to Vietnam after so many years to fulfill a pact to reclaim some gold they buried years ago, as well as rediscovering the body of their lost friend Norm. Before I get into this review, if you do enjoy what I do on the channel, then please consider clicking that like button and subscribe to the channel for more reviews, rankings and video essays coming all the time. And without further ado, let's get into this review. To start off with, I've heard good things about this film. I was very much looking forward to it, but I have heard it is quite divisive. Though I will say, Delroy Lindo is already an early candidate for the Best Actor nomination. I see some people arguing this, but there's no denying he is by far and away the main character in this story, and this performance is outstanding. Whilst the character I didn't like at certain points, I love the different layers he goes throughout this film. His crazy moments and his kind-hearted moments. He is the definition of a soldier that is conflicted about how his life has gone, and he is traumatized by his past, and I am very much in the boat that he should be on the shortlist already. Spike Lee is one of those directors that you're either going to love him or you're going to hate him. I in particular haven't seen many of his films. I've still yet to see Malcolm X. It's something I need to rectify before all cinemas open up again. I really enjoyed BlacKkKlansman. This film I believe is better than BlacKkKlansman, though I feel like with Spike Lee films, they are half movies and half historical pieces. For the first half of this is less of a film and more of a brief introduction to some black history. By the end of this film, I had to double check, is this based on a true story, completely forgetting it's set in today, so I think we would have heard about it if it was based on something true, and at times it does go a bit Hollywoodized. But the fact that I had to question if it was true or not, he managed to do that by simply having pictures of these actors looking like they're the characters at a home life. It is one of those sorts of films that tricks you into believing everything it does. I really enjoy the stylistic choices when it came to the future and the past, because there are flashbacks to Vietnam itself, and what he does is he takes the widescreen letterbox format and it goes into the box format with a more grainy picture whenever we go back in time to Vietnam. My only issue with that is that the main actors, they look the exact same. It would have been nice to see young versions of these actors in these Vietnam set pieces, because I couldn't quite look past the fact that these are clearly older gentlemen. When we cut back to Vietnam, it is showing them as they are. I can sort of see why he does it, because you might have been questioning who is who, and his stylistic choice was to make it undeniably so that it was these characters playing these different roles back then. And he does at least give us a photo at the end showing the younger versions of these characters. So the stylistic choice will either deter or throw you, or you can just go with it. I eventually did just go with it and accept it for what it was, but I really enjoy the stylistic choice of that. That being said, though, I don't think this film is perfect in any way, shape or form. There are a few editorial things that really take me out of the movie. There's a couple of moments that, while brilliantly acted by Delroy, there's a bit where he's just looking at the camera, talking, and is he talking to us? I'm assuming he is talking to us, and that did throw me off a little bit, though I will not take away from the performance during these scenes because they are fantastic. There was a couple of editorial, I don't want to say mistakes, because I feel like it was deliberate, but they did throw me a bit. It would be simple things like you would see two characters going for a hug, and the hug would happen, then it would cut to a close-up, and it would repeat the same 2 seconds of them going for that hug over again. And it is a little bit jarring, because it's like, have they hugged twice? Or have we just jumped back in time 2 seconds to repeat the hug? Why can't we just do this in one shot? I feel like it was a stylistic choice, but I can't say I was a fan of that stylistic choice. As you saw from my Artemis Fowl review, I like consistency in an edit, otherwise it's going to throw me. And a lot of people are going to be like that. Like I said, there's sometimes it cuts to historical figures or historical speeches. It's not completely a movie in a traditional sense. This is half a movie and half an educational piece about growing up in this black history. I think one of my favourite bits, it's a very small bit, but it really hammers home the harshness of war. Well, there's 2 bits actually. There's one bit where one of the characters bluntly says to a Vietnam person that there was atrocities on both sides, and that I feel like we need to really look at, because at the minute there is a lot of tension in the world. I like the fact that this film acknowledges that in every war pretty much there is atrocities on both sides. There is no clear good and evil on either side. Hell, one of the characters in this actually voted for Trump, and he is proud of that. And you would think the narrative is all black people would hate Trump, but some do, and it fit in with his character, and you believed it, and you didn't think any less of him for it. So there are a lot of layers to this that I really did appreciate. But the other thing that really got me was there's a scene where the squadron and some Vietnam soldiers take each other on, but just before this happens, you hear a conversation from the Vietnam soldiers, and it's basically just a conversation about finding a poem in his wallet, telling it to his squad mates, and they talk about how they're probably seen as heroes from the girlfriends back home. And it's a powerful moment because in a day, it's not just faceless Vietnamese soldiers that these American soldiers are seeing. These are real people with real lives back home, and they are about to be snuffed out just like that, and you feel for them just from that one conversation alone. It's these subtle things in films that I really do appreciate. It's like with Battle Royale, how they made me care about every character just by giving us a name and an age for every single character in that. Even if they have no lines, we still somehow care about them, because it gives every character an identity. And that's something I feel like a lot of films based in war miss. So I appreciate that Spike Lee did that with this film. Overall, I will say there are things that are quite Hollywood about this film. I will not lie. There are some bits that did feel like he was trying to go for a Tarantino vibe. There are a few MacGuffins that are sent in there. There's a lot of subtle things in the dialogue they don't think about first instance that come back into play later. There's these setups, and it does feel quite throwaway at times. One last bit of praise I'll give for this film, though, is they cast actors from their respective countries. Vietnam people were played by Vietnamese actors. There are some French people in this that are played by French actors. And obviously, you have your African Americans that are played by African Americans. I like that every single character was played by someone of their respective nationality, which is something I feel like more films should do, and it really added another layer of depth to this film. Before I get into my grade, if you do enjoy what I do on this channel and you've enjoyed what you've seen so far, click that like button, subscribe to the channel, and let me know what you thought about The Five Bloods down in the comments below. But without further ado, let's get into my grade for this. So for my grade, like I say, I really enjoyed the characters. I love the style that Spike Lee goes for in this. I love how it is half educational and half Hollywood film, but there are bits that do annoy me from a plot perspective. There are some editing choices that I'm not a huge fan of, and some things do feel quite convenient as it goes on. But The Five Bloods is a very good movie. I would definitely recommend checking it out. It's come out at a very important time, and I can definitely see it getting some awards hype come awards season next year. And I really hope this film doesn't just fade into memory come November, because unfortunately films this early sometimes have that issue. But overall, I'm going to have to say that The Five Bloods is a good cup of tea. So The Five Bloods, have you seen it? If you have, let me know what you thought down in the comments below. Coming up next on the channel, getting back to the Studio Ghibli reviews, as well as the Wild of Movies episode of Trainspotting that I'm very much looking forward to bringing you guys this weekend. But until then, my name is Josh, I have been your Movie Apprentice, and I'll see you in the next video. Hey, thank you for watching, and thank you for making it to the end of the video. While you are here, if you haven't done it yet, please feel free to drop a like and consider hitting that subscribe button for more reviews coming all the time. And also, while you are here, there are some other videos over there that you might want to sink your teeth into. Have a good day, guys, and do enjoy.